and welcome back to my channel. My name is Ashani, and on this channel we talk about candle making and selling candles online. Are you thinking about trying out candle making but not really sure of what supplies you need to get started with? By the end of this video you'll have the absolute basic products you'll need to get going. If you stick around to the end, I will tell you how you can get your hands on a shopping checklist for beginners. Subscribe and hit the bell if you are a budding candle maker looking to start and grow your own business. You can also follow me on Instagram at LunaLondonCandles. The most common advice given to new candle makers is to buy a candle making kit. Whilst that's really good advice, the problem is many candle making kits don't have everything you need to get going. This means that a lot of new makers end up paying multiple shipping costs for the products that didn't come in the kit. Candle making is fun, relaxing and profitable, but if you aren't careful, the cost of materials, equipment and shipping can rack up really quickly. This video aims to give you the absolute basic list of products that you will need to make your first lot of candles. I'm so excited that you're about to start your candle making journey. Let's get into the video. I'll start out with equipment first. Be sure to check your kit to make sure you're not duplicating anything. If it's included in the kit, of course you don't need to buy it. The first thing I'll definitely recommend is a wax melting pot. So I've just got a little one here because I'm also at the start of my journey, and you can also get really big ones too. I probably should have done that in hindsight. Starting on the stove is pretty much how all candle makers start out, but the direct heat coming from the stove is just too aggressive for the wax melting in the pot. So we're going to need our melting pot for the double boiling method of candle making. If you don't know what a double boiling method is, think about when you cook food normally. You'd put a pan straight to the heat and then put your ingredients on top of the pan and it'll just cook, right? So the double boiling method is different in the sense that you have a pan of boiling water and then you insert your melting pot into that pan of water. You basically get secondary heat from the boiling water, and it gently and evenly heats up your wax without raising the temperature of the wax too high. Next we have a thermometer. So I have a digital thermometer, but I've seen people use conventional thermometers and infrared guns. If you have something at home already, I'd suggest just using that. I personally bought this for my candle making because I didn't have one at home, and I found that it worked really well. The reason a thermometer is crucial is because once you start making candles and testing, you would want to know exactly the temperatures you heated up your wax to, the temperatures you poured your fragrance in, and the temperature that you pour your wax into the container in. This is really going to help you recreate candles later on when you want to create consistent quality every time. Digital thermometers like the one I have are really inexpensive. I picked this up I think for less than £5, so it was really cheap. The only thing I'd say that you need to be aware of is a lot of the time when you're taking your temperature, you're getting the heat right at the bottom of the pan, which basically is the hottest area. So you're not able to get as accurate a reading as you possibly could as you would with an infrared gun. But to be honest, I've been able to create lovely scented candles with this. So it really just comes down to how much money you want to spend. The next piece of really important equipment that you definitely need are a pair of good scales. So I just have my normal kitchen scales, which is a digital scale so you can get accurate readings. As you can see, just as a side note, I have some melting on my scales because fragrance oils melt plastic, which I didn't know until this happened. But yeah, I think a good set of digital scales is really important so you can correctly measure out your wax and fragrance oils. The next thing you'll need is something to secure your wicks with. And these are to make sure that your wicks don't sway around when your candle is setting. These can basically be recreated with a peg, a skewer or lollipop stick. But this is just what I went for in the beginning because I didn't really have a drill to drill a hole in a lollipop stick, and it just seemed a bit of a faff at the beginning. But I think as I make more candles, I'll probably look at alternate solutions. So I guess if you have a drill at home, why not try a lollipop stick? So the next thing you're going to need is something to secure your wick to its container. This can be done with glue or stickums. So stickums are a double-sided adhesive. I personally went down the glue gun option because I felt like I was taking out the hassle of having to reorder stickums every time I ran out. Glue guns can be picked up pretty inexpensively from Amazon, and you get a ton of refill of the glue sticks in with it. I did a bit of a cost analysis as well. A pack of 10 stickums would cost me 50p. So fixing down one wick would cost me about 5p, whereas I found one glue stick would allow me to fix about 50 jars. So it brought the cost down to about 1 or 2p per fixing, which sounds kind of negligible, but when you do massive orders, I think it would make a big difference to your profit margin. I've really enjoyed using a glue gun. It's cut out any uncertainty of when I'm going to get stickums in, and also it's a cost-effective way of gluing down my wicks. So I would definitely recommend it. Another alternative would be super glue. I've personally not used it because I feel like I'll stick my hands together, but I've seen a lot of good results from other candle makers on YouTube. The next thing you're going to need are containers. Now, most candle makers will start out with a container candle rather than a pillar candle. That's just my experience, and from the people that I've spoken to, they all started out with container candles. Now, you usually get your container in a kit, and if you want to experiment, it is really fun to experiment with, but I'd suggest to get one type of container only and experiment with that, and then from there move on to a different container, because the amount of testing you're going to have to do for different containers can get really overwhelming. If you do plan to get fun containers, be sure that they are candle safe, because the jars that are made for candle making are made to resist the heat. So if you use something that is not candle safe, it could have the potential to explode and cause a lot of damage and harm to yourself and your property. The next thing we have is wax. Now, choosing the right wax can be pretty tricky. Doing a ton of research before buying your wax can help, but actually it's not guaranteed that you'll even like it. I personally thought I'd be using 100% soy wax when I first started out, and to be honest, I didn't really get on with it. What I've seen in the candle making community is people end up frustrating themselves because they're so fixated on using one type of wax or one brand of wax. But really, you could just try changing it up and you might be able to make the perfect candle. It really comes down to trial and error, and because a ton of people may like one wax doesn't mean it's going to work for you. Keep trialing and just find what's best for you. A lot of the suppliers do sample sizes of wax, so something like this. So I definitely recommend buying several types of waxes and trialing them out. I really think by having an open mind to trying different types of waxes is really going to help you in the long run. The next thing we have, I'm sure, is pretty much everyone's favorite thing to buy in candle making, and that's fragrance oils. When I first started, I basically bought so many different types of fragrance oils and it just wasn't necessary. I don't want to be a party pooper, but you don't really need that many fragrance oils, especially when you're starting out. Fragrance oils are where I spend most of my money, and it really wasn't necessary looking back. I highly suggest only buying 2 to 3 fragrance oils when you're starting out. It's going to save you a ton of money and keep you focused on just perfecting those 2 to 3 scents, rather than getting distracted by tons of different fragrances. Something I have to constantly remind myself is the fragrance oils aren't running away. They will be there when I need them. Next up, we have wicks. When I first started out candle making, I had no idea how much goes into wicking a candle. As a consumer of candles, I never thought once about what kind of wick was used in the candle. The only consciousness I had was whether it was a wood wick candle or not, or just like a normal wick. I had no idea that there were different types of wicks. But as you start your candle making journey, you will soon come to the same realization that wicking is really important for your candle. Something that really messed me up on my journey was not buying enough different sizes of wicks or different types of wicks. I spent so much money on multiple shipments buying in different types of wicks. They are so inexpensive that it just makes sense to buy a whole range of wicks when you make your first order. As I mentioned in my previous video, the manufacturer that supplies the wicks that I use has a tool that helps me calculate kind of in the range of what type of wick I'll need. So if I plan to wick a new jar, I'll try and buy several of the options that they recommend. If the manufacturer of the wick doesn't supply a tool, they will let you know the diameter that the wick will be able to burn up to. So I'd suggest to try several different types of wicks within the same brand, but also different brands as well, that are able to burn to the diameter of your container. I hope that makes sense. The final thing you'll need in your supply kit is something to trim your wicks. Now, you could just use scissors or a wick trimmer. It's really up to you. You might want to invest in a wick trimmer anyway, because regardless if you decide to make candles or not, you can always use your wick trimmer for candles that you buy. Okay guys, that's my take on the must-have supplies you need when starting out candle making. I hope you found it really useful, and as I mentioned, I have made a shopping checklist which you can download. Just click the link in the description box below and hopefully that will help you out. I hope you found this video useful. You can follow me at Luna London Candles. I'm launching within the next month and it's kind of a scary but exciting time. So yeah, if you'd like to see what I'm doing over there, follow me at Luna London Candles. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe if you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you have any other suggestions for another video, or if you want to see something specific related to candle making, please let me know. I'd be really happy to make it for you. Thank you so much. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.